I'm aware of all of those things, but I know he don't want to be in there, so I know he can afford it.
It's been just 6 days since Yella Beezy landed in Dallas County Jail over allegations of ordering the hit on MO3, and word is he's already feeling the heat. Sources say he's struggling behind bars and desperately pushing for bail like. His life depends on it. And if you know anything about the notorious reputation of Dallas County Jail, you'd understand exactly why.
I mean, this is the last stop of the jail for all the worst of the worst.
Dallas County Jail didn't earn its reputation as the worst jail in Texas for nothing, and Yella Beezy is getting a first-hand experience of just how brutal it can be. His arrest on capital murder charges has sent shockwaves through the rap world, leaving fans and industry insiders in disbelief. Now locked up in Dallas County Jail, word is that Beezy is struggling to adjust to life behind Barca World. That's a far cry from the luxury and fame he's used to. Life inside is harsh, overwhelming, and unforgiving. Overcrowding as out-of-control cells designed for 8 inmates now hold as many as 40. It's not just uncomfortable, it's a full-blown crisis that jail officials are scrambling to contain. Security takes priority, while comfort is an afterthought. The freezing air feels like the AC is cranked up just to test who can endure it. Noise bounces off the walls so relentlessly that inmates stuff toilet paper in their ears just to find a moment of peace. Privacy? Forget about it. The jail's Special Response Teams, SRTs, run the place like a military camp, and their inspections are nothing short of humiliating. Prisoners are forced to kneel in their underwear while officers tear through their belongings. The goal is control, and dignity isn't part of the equation. For the past 5 years, Dallas County Jail has been under fire for failing state inspections time and time again. The Texas Commission on Jail Standards, which oversees county jails, keeps flagging serious issues, but the problems never seem to get fixed. In February 2022, inspectors spent 4 days inside the facility, and what they found was deeply concerning. One of the biggest red flags was how jail staff handled suicidal inmates. On paper, it looked like officers were following protocol, but when inspectors reviewed surveillance footage, the reality didn't match the logs, raising serious questions about inmate safety. And that was just the beginning. Around 40 housing unit doors were completely broken, some for an extended period. Inspectors even caught inmates using contraband to jam doors, turning them into major security risks, issues that had been ignored for far too long. Then there was the strange burning smell lingering in the North Tower. Staff blamed it on inmates smoking K2, a synthetic weed, and burning coffee grounds to mask the scent. But whatever the cause, it was just another sign of how deep the problems run inside Dallas County Jail.
Yeah, we have a lot of guys. They still, do dope. They run the dope houses from inside the jails. A lot of kingpins, so it is an important item inside the jail.
Whatever the cause, one thing was clear: people inside were regularly inhaling toxic smoke. Strangely enough, inspectors didn't push for any immediate action, leaving both inmates and staff to keep breathing in who knows what. As for hygiene standards, those weren't looking too great either.
A lot of people in here can keep it real nasty. They don't really clean as often. They don't care. I mean, this is the last stop of the jail for all the worst of the worst.
In the West Tower, laundry workers weren't even swapping out clothes and linens for inmates in crisis. Care floor officers had to step in instead. A clear sign that things weren't running as they should. And over in the South Tower, the situation wasn't much better. Back in March and April 2021, the jail's generators were supposed to undergo routine testing, but it never happened. If the power ever cuts out, there's no guarantee the backup systems will work, setting the stage for a potential disaster. Meanwhile, the overcrowding crisis keeps getting worse. Ongoing renovations mean fewer available beds, forcing the county to consider temporary housing setups just to keep up. On top of that, AC system failures have made conditions even harsher, turning the jail into a fight for survival rather than just incarceration. Then there's the legal system, another nightmare in itself. Inmates trying to defend themselves struggle to access the law library, while legal mail, which is supposed to be confidential, gets opened without them even being present. Motions take forever to process, making it feel like the system is designed to keep them trapped. As for Yella Beezy, word on the street is that he's too broke to bond himself out of jail. His initial bond was set at $2 million number that made it clear just how serious the charges were. But in a surprising courtroom moment, Beezy's grandmother, Alma Jean Alexander, took the stand and flipped the narrative, insisting that he wasn't nearly as wealthy as prosecutors made him out to be.
He might used to be, but if he could make a $2 million bond, he'd be out.
Would you agree with though that there's a difference between can, want to, and choosing not to?
I'm aware of all of those things, but I know he don't want to be in there, so I know if he could afford it, he'd be in there.
Her unwavering testimony, backed by statements from other family members, forced the judge to take a second look at Beezy's financial situation. In the end, Judge Gracie Lewis ruled in his favor, reducing his bond to $750,000, but not without strict conditions. Beezy is banned from contacting victims or witnesses and was given a stern warning to take the financial disclosure process seriously. Prosecutors, however, painted a very different picture of Beezy's finances, arguing that his wealth and resources made him a flight risk. They pointed to his bulletproof Denali, a clear status symbol, and his 2020 bank records, which showed nearly $870,000 in his accounts. According to them, these assets suggested he was more than capable of funding and orchestrating a violent crime. Now, capital murder isn't just another charge, it's one of the most serious in the legal system, and Texas doesn't play when it comes to cases like these. If convicted, Beezy faces only two possible outcomes: life in prison without parole, or in certain cases, the death penalty. The law applies to murders involving police officers, firefighters, or children under 10, as well as killings committed during felonies like robbery, kidnapping, or murder-for-hire schemes. Prosecutors claim Beezy financed a hit on fellow rapper Mo3, making it a murder-for-hire situation, a direct qualifier for capital charges. To understand how serious this is, just look at Lil Durk's murder-for-hire case. Durk, whose real name is Devontae Banks, was arrested in South Florida, with U.S. Marshals confirming his custody. His charges stem from a federal criminal complaint filed in California, accusing him of ordering a targeted hit. The story traces back to an intense feud between Durk and an individual known as TB. Things took a deadly turn after the tragic murder of Durk's close friend, Devin Bennett Better, known as King Von On, November 6, 2020. Von, a key figure in Durk's Only the Family collective, was shot and killed by an associate of TB, setting off a violent chain reaction. Word on the street was that Durk placed a bounty on TB's head, driven by vengeance over Von's death. Fast forward nearly 2 years to August 19, 2022, and tensions finally exploded. Prosecutors allege that members of Durk's camp tracked TB to a Los Angeles gas station, opening fire on his vehicle with at least 18 rounds. But the real tragedy? TB's family member was caught in the crossfire and killed in broad daylight, right in the middle of a busy intersection, endangering countless innocent bystanders. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada didn't hold back, calling it a cold-blooded murder that showed zero regard for human life. Now, Durk and 5 others face a list of heavy charges, including murder, conspiracy to commit murder for hire, and murder for hire resulting in death. Prosecutors claim the hitmen were paid with money linked directly to Durk's camp and that, 5 individuals were flown from Chicago to Los Angeles the day before the shooting, fully prepared to carry out the hit. Adding another layer to the case, Durk allegedly made sure there was no direct paper trail by having one of his associates book one-way flights for the shooters under different names. But where there's smoke, there's fire. In the aftermath, search warrants were executed on linked properties, uncovering the depth of the alleged plot. Durk's first court appearance was at the C. Clyde Atkins U.S. Courthouse in Miami, where his attorney, Alec Ubiada, remained tight-lipped, refusing to reveal further details. With arraignments set to take place in Los Angeles federal court, the stakes couldn't be higher. If convicted, Durk faces life behind bars. This legal storm has cast a dark shadow over both cases, proving once again that in the world of hip-hop, the lines between fame, fortune, and violence are often razor-thin. Lil Durk's legal troubles have cast a dark shadow over his once-thriving career that reached new heights earlier this year, when he won a Grammy for Best Melodic Rap Performance for All My Life, featuring J. Cole. But as of December 2024, unsealed, court documents revealed an even deeper layer to his case, linking him to a second murder-for-hire plot, the January 2022 shooting of Stephen Mack in Chicago. Now, with a trial set for October 2025 and bail denied, his future looks uncertain. Meanwhile, Yella Beezy's situation raises plenty of questions. Mo3 was killed in 2020, yet it took prosecutors nearly 5 years to officially tie Beezy to the case. Given their years-long public beef, why the sudden shift? Did new evidence emerge, or did someone decide to talk? And if a key witness flipped, why is Beezy only facing charges now? To understand the weight of these accusations, let's go back to that tragic day in November 2020, when rapper Mo3 Real named Melvin Noble was gunned down on a Dallas highway. His death sent shockwaves through the industry. Mo3 wasn't just another artist. He was a rising star with a devoted fan base. That morning, he was driving along Interstate 35 when he realized he was being followed. As tension mounted, he abandoned his car and tried to escape on foot, sprinting down the busy highway. But his pursuer didn't hesitate. In broad daylight, with stunned onlookers watching, the gunman opened fire. Multiple shots rang out, and Mo3 collapsed, fatally wounded. The brutal nature of the attack, carried out in the middle of one of Dallas's busiest highways, left witnesses in shock and authorities scrambling for answers. Speculation ran wild. Some believed it was tied to Mo3's ongoing street feuds, while others suspected a targeted hit rooted in jealousy, rivalry, or unresolved conflicts from his past. Determined to catch the killer, the Dallas Police Department wasted no time launching a full-scale investigation. Shortly after the shooting, they released images of the suspect wearing a ski mask. These images became crucial in tracking down 22-year-old Kewan Dontrell White, a man with an existing criminal record. At the time of Mo3's murder, White was already out on bond for a felony gun charge and a misdemeanor for evading arrest. As investigators pieced together the evidence, video footage and witness testimonies placed White near the scene before and during the shooting. It became clear that he was the gunman. According to reports, White had chased Mo3 down, approaching his car before forcing him to flee on foot. But White didn't let up. He pursued him relentlessly, firing multiple shots, some of which proved fatal. The attack also left another man wounded, underscoring the reckless and indiscriminate nature of the violence. Following the shooting, Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall acknowledged the city's rising crime rates,